All right, we're just gonna spend a minute and a half letting people join. And as everybody joins, I'm gonna launch a poll. We would love some feedback. So we got a little poll, 2 questions, quick feedback about AI agents, and then we'll get rolling in a couple minutes. All right, just a quick reminder, we got a poll up, and I see 61% of the people so far that have joined have participated in the poll. Please take a minute and answer the 2 questions in the poll so we get a bit of a better sense of where everybody is at. Selby, I think we should get going. We'll honor those that are on time as we normally do, and we'll get moving along here. All right, as I arrange my screen. Okay, here's the deal. We are talking about your brand new coworkers, AI agents that actually get stuff done for you. It's a exciting topic. We're super looking forward to going through this. We've prepared a action-packed webinar full of a bunch of interesting information. We're going to do a live demo. We're even going to build a AI agent in front of you. So there's a high wire act that's going to go on here. We're going to show you how you can build an AI agent and how you can transform your business with this kind of stuff. The way this works, usually the way we roll through our webinars, we try for about half an hour-ish of content. We've kind of packed so much stuff in today. We might go kind of 35 minutes-ish. 35 to 40 minutes, and then we'll stay on as long as there are questions to answer. So if you have questions as we go along, please feel free, put them in the chat. If I see them as we're going along, I might answer them in the chat as we're going along, but definitely we'll come back to them in the end. And as I mentioned, please answer the poll so that we get a sense of where everybody is at. So I'm doing a lot of talking, but I wanted to introduce my wonderful cohort here. Selby's our director of data and AI and our resident genius when it comes to everything to do with AI agents, the data that supports them and implementing them. So welcome, Selby. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Brendan. I'm very excited to chat today about agents.
It's a fun topic. Talking about IT infrastructure and cybersecurity is, it's fascinating to us too, but it's not quite the same level of excitement as when you're talking about AI agents and bots and all that sort of stuff. So before we get into it, a quick plug. Next event, we have a client webinar coming up for those that are clients of ours on the phone. We do monthly, on the webinar, we do monthly training for the over 2,500 users we support. The next bit of training we have is on Microsoft Planner and lists. So some Microsoft tools that are very useful that folks can use and improve the productivity of their businesses. So that is coming up on June the 25th, a week from now. So that's coming up next week. So if you are a client of ours and don't have an invite to that, please reach out to us or your consultant. If you're not a client of ours and would like monthly training for your staff so that they use technology in Microsoft 365 much better, we'd be happy to talk to you about that as well. All right, so here's our poll. We have, Selby, here are the results. 83% of people on this webinar are not currently using AI agents. So 17% are, 83% are not, and it's a reasonable sample size. Appreciate, we've had 85, 90% of people have participated in this. Of the folks on this webinar, we have 65% are planning to use AI agents. Okay, you're in the right place. 13% are saying no, they're not planning to use AI agents. Maybe we'll change your mind. And then we have about 22% who are thinking about it, but hesitant. So again, maybe we will change your mind about it as well. So thank you everybody for that feedback and participating in that poll. So I gotta set the stage here, and then Selby is going to get into kind of the meat of AI agents, how you can use it, what they are, all that sort of stuff, and then hopefully we'll change some thinking, or at the very least leave you feeling smarter and fired up after your kind of half hour, 45 minutes with us today. All right. So here's kind of where we're at. So Microsoft came out with this great piece of research called the Microsoft Work Trend Index. They've done it for the last 6 years. And it is a report. It's a survey based on, they've surveyed 31,000 knowledge workers across 31 different markets across the globe. And it was conducted between February and March this year. And it also looks at a bunch of Microsoft 365 telemetry. So like how people are using Microsoft 365. Plus they own LinkedIn. So they looked at LinkedIn hiring trends and did a bunch of interviews with AI kind of native startups and businesses. And they've come back with some interesting information. So number one, won't surprise anybody. Leaders are rethinking strategy due to AI, and leaders are very interested in AI. Here's where I wanted to sort of drill in. There's a piece of this research which I thought was fascinating. So it came back and said, employees are interrupted every 2 minutes on average by meetings, emails, or pings. And so including after hours stuff, that's 275 interruptions a day. So this is a challenge, right? Like we're interrupting our staff, we're stopping them from kind of focusing, working, that sort of stuff. I could make the comment that Microsoft has created a lot of the tools that are interrupting and stopping people from working with Teams and Outlook and stuff like that, but we'll just kind of leave that aside. They did this great piece of research and they're feeding this back to us. So we're working in this environment where we're creating some challenges for our staff. Then we also have this kind of environment where the majority of leaders are saying, we got to get more productive. I don't know if this resonates, if this is what's happening at your company. We need more output. We need to be better. We need to achieve more, right? So leaders are saying we need to increase productivity, but the workforce, 80% of the workforce says there's no time or energy to do their work. Either they're overwhelmed or there's too many interruptions or pings or that sort of stuff. But we're in this kind of challenge and this push and pull of leaders are saying, get more accomplished. Our staff, our teams are saying, stop telling me to do more. I can't handle it. I'm at capacity. I don't have the energy, that sort of stuff. So what's our solution here? Digital labor. And what we have is according to the study, 82% of leaders are saying they're looking at using digital labor in the next 12 to 18 months. And here's the big idea, the big thought, the big sort of change. So many people are looking at AI as if it's a chat bot. They're looking at AI as if it's another technology tool. If we think about AI as a digital labor force, we change our thinking and we change just the opportunity, and it widens us out for what's capable. So think about this in terms of your org chart. So our typical org chart has Jeff, and then we have Sean, Will, and Rachel reporting to him. It's very common, right? Here's where we're going with that thinking. Sean, Will, and Rachel are going to become agent bosses. So Sean, Will, and Rachel right now are overwhelmed. They're interrupted. They've got so much work to do. They're saying, Jeff, I only have an 8-hour day or a 10-hour day, or sometimes I work 12 hours a day. You can't keep giving me more stuff. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to say, hey, Sean, Will, and Rachel, you are now going to have a workforce of AI agents. So you're going to become an agent boss. So what you can do by yourself in 8 hours is going to dramatically transform, because you're going to have this workforce of AI agents that are going to be able to do stuff for you. And this is where businesses are going. And this is kind of the future. And this is the future opportunity. And so we want to open your eyes up to this. And we want everybody that we work with to start thinking about in these terms. What's my plan for deploying digital labor? How am I going to do this? So it's like, yeah, GPT is great. It gives me some information and stuff. It's a chatbot. Let's move beyond the chatbot. Let's move our thinking into this world of digital labor. So, and the other piece that we like to come back from a context perspective before we get into kind of the detail is we have, when we're looking at AI and when we're helping people implement AI, we need to make sure that we have the right structure and support in place, right? So here's what that looks like. If you think about it in terms of a house, we have the foundation of our house, and the foundation is data. We have data is that foundation of AI adoption, right? And this is our answer to what we see across the C-suite, owners, small businesses, that sort of stuff across the board, saying, I want to use AI, but I don't know how to go about it, and I don't know where to go, and I haven't been able to get it kind of off the ground and implemented and transforming my business. So here's what we do. We start with the foundation, start with data. Where's your data? How's it organized? Do you have an old file server? Have you moved it to the cloud? That sort of stuff. Is it a giant mess, or is it ready, right? What's the security and the governance? So this is the structure. This is the structure of our house. Do we have the right cybersecurity to protect our company as we go on our AI journey? Have we put in the governance? Do we have an AI acceptable use policy? Have we put in the right governance and shown our teams, taught our teams, involved our teams, so they know what we're doing here and what we're trying to accomplish? Then the ground floor, the sort of easy adoption type of stuff is Microsoft 365 Copilot. So we're going to start, hey, guess what? We already use Teams, Outlook, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, that sort of stuff. So we're just going to plug AI into that and make it much more effective. So if we do Teams meetings right now, we plug AI into it, and then all of a sudden we get transcription. And we get meeting notes, and we get action items, and we can interact with that. So it just takes those meetings up to a full, but it's super easy for people to adopt. And because it's all there in the applications they use. Then once we start doing that, and we're like, oh, we're starting to get some usefulness of this AI digital labor, this digital labor force that we have, we're going to go level 2, and that's Copilot agents, and that's what we're talking about today. So there's your intro, context, big sort of strategic idea. Now Selby's going to take us into a little bit more about agents and what an agent actually is, and why do we want agents, and how are we going to go about this, and all the kind of fun stuff.
Thanks, Brendan. I think when we think agents, we generally do think, goodness, there's a lot of development involved in creating an agent. So when we think about the goals and the themes, I think there's 2 items here that really pop up for businesses. The first is business transformation. How's that going to look like once we're able to execute in this development and eventually having access to this agent? And the speed of deployment. When we look at development, of course, the speed of being able to deploy or to deliver an item comes into play as well. And I think when we look historically, development generally does take quite a lot of time. There's time-related investments. And that really is what pops up when we think about custom development. It's both the finance side and the time dedication side, right? And I think that there's been so much improvement over the last while, especially when we look to artificial intelligence, and now at agents, where we are able to execute and develop and deploy an item within a few moments instead of months, if not years. So generally, historically, custom development might have involved 100 to 500,000 dollars, and it would have taken 3 to 24 months. But we really would like to showcase that this isn't really the case anymore when it comes to agents. And I'm excited to do a bit of a practical session in this as well.
So the AI agent you're going to build today is not going to take us 24 months, and it's not going to cost $500,000.
Oh, it depends. I'm going to try and have it not get to that point.
All right. Hopefully nobody needs a sleeping bag. We'll see if we can get this done nice and quick.
So what is an AI agent? I get asked this question quite a lot, and I think that there is a few ways you can look at it, but the first way I generally try and explain it really is it's a companion. It is something that you're able to set up and use on a daily basis, especially if there is something specific that you would like for it to execute. So think of the kind of various opportunities for items that you do on a daily basis that recurs, that perhaps you can assign to a companion, and you can be an agent boss to hand over and have it do that for you. So it's able to think, learn, and take action based on your input and your guidance. So what are the categories of agents? So I can spend hours upon hours going through the categories and describing each, but I'll just make sure to summarize. So autonomous agents really are agents that's able to take action independent of the user. So if you would like to have something perhaps based on a time-based trigger or an input-specific item, you can have an autonomous agent take over. So here, think about sales-related agents that's able to do a bit of prospecting on behalf of you, and really able to customize the messaging that gets sent to prospects. So that is an autonomous agent. The second category of agent really is interactive, and this is usually where we start off with. So think about prompt-based inputs and outputs, maybe FAQ policy documents that you would like for your users to spend time in interacting and, maybe not have them read through the documents, but have them interact with an agent. That's where we use our interactive agents for. The third item is really task specific. So if you do have repetitive tasks that you do on a day-by-day basis, perhaps you schedule meetings, perhaps you review availability of your team members, etc., to schedule those meetings, you can assign a task like that to an agent to do on your behalf, so that you're now handing over that task to an agent to do, so that you don't have to spend time doing that. And then the fourth one, which I think really does leverage data that might live outside of Microsoft, we have integrated agents. So here, perhaps you use a CRM where the data is not currently available within the Microsoft ecosystem. You can go ahead and integrate an agent to be able to interrogate that information for you, and perhaps also execute a task that translates into that CRM system. The world really is your oyster when it comes to these.
So we wanted to show a couple of examples of agents. So the feedback that we always get when we do sessions is like, show me more, give me examples, give me use cases, that sort of stuff. And I think the most common examples that we're seeing when working with clients on this sort of stuff are interactive agents. So it's a good kind of place to start, right? So here's an example of an interactive agent we built. And so this is right within Teams. It's right kind of on the left side for all of our staff. And here's the problem that it was solving. I've talked to a bunch of business leaders about this, and I feel like this is a common problem. So we have an HR manual. It's grown to 82 pages over the years. So it's a very kind of comprehensive HR manual. And when everybody starts at Techify, they sign a little acknowledgement saying, I've read the HR manual. Nobody in the history of Techify has ever actually read through the entire 82-page HR manual, I believe. And so we end up getting a lot of questions, or our HR team gets a lot of questions. So what we did is we created this we created this agent that what it does is it queries our HR manual. And so people can, within Teams, in this case, let me know, how do I submit my expenses? Can ask questions about carrying over vacation. All that sort of day-to-day kind of back and forth and questions about about HR that people have. Performance review. How do we do performance reviews? How do we do this? And we called this bot Gino. And the reason we called the bot or the agent Gino was because our HR director, her name is Gina. So we thought it would be kind of fun to have a Gino to help out Gina so that Gina didn't need to answer as many questions. Give another quick example. As I move to the next slide, our demo was just showing a question of how somebody asking what are the salaries of all the people at Techify, and the agent is smart enough and has been trained not to provide that information. But anybody that wants to go through kind of security and that sort of stuff in the Q&A, please pop a question in the chat and we can talk a little bit more about that. Here's another example we just wanted to show. We did an ERP implementation, new ERP implementation at Techify. And so to help our team and to help train our team, we created an agent so that they could just ask questions about how to do things in the new application, so they didn't always have to go to a leader or a coworker or that sort of stuff. And this agent pointed at the vast amount of documentation that exists for this vendor, and is able to pull that information and answer questions. So simple things like logging a ticket, entering information, that sort of stuff. So our staff could ask questions and feel like they're not asking an embarrassing question. They're just asking the agent back and forth. So we thought a couple of little examples, but we wanted to get your mind going in that sort of direction. And just to blow your mind even further, Selby, do you want to talk about like what's a multi-agent structure?
Multi-agent structures, I think, is quite exciting, and it's especially something that we should consider in the future. It's really where there's an ecosystem and a communication system between agents. So whereas currently perhaps you might be using various agents for specific tasks, imagine an agent ecosystem who's able to execute in a multi-agent structure and communicate with one another. That's the future, and I think it's very exciting.
Yeah, super cool. Okay, let's get into that. Let's get into the really fun part. So Selby is about to build an agent before our eyes. She is going to, in real time, so that you can see how quickly, how kind of low code or no code building agents are, and start to think about the capabilities. As she's doing this, here's my ask. Think about in your business, what do you wish that you could have an AI agent for? What are manual repetitive processes that are happening over and over again in your business that an individual or a bunch of individuals have to do that could free up a whole bunch of your time if you had an AI agent? So as Selby's doing this, feel free to pop stuff into the chat. Think about it, and we're going to come back. We're going to come back to this after this demo and see what everybody else has come up with.
Fantastic. So as per all live presentations, I'm sure this is going to go very smooth, I hope. So let's say you have a SharePoint library that has a wealth of documentation, and you really want your team to take advantage of that information, but perhaps you don't want them to read through each and every document. So this is the perfect use case for an agent that you might want to implement for your team members. The place really to start here is, and I'd like to show, is the little Copilot icon here at the top right. Microsoft spoils us with choice when it comes to Copilot agents being able to interact with it at various points in time. So this is one of the first kind of places I would start if I wanted to create an agent based on a SharePoint library or documents. But you can really take it further. So agents really do flourish when you have a specific task or a specific integration that you would like to provide to it. And so I'm going to show an agent that we're going to build based on a specific document. So for example, Gino is based on our HR policy documentation, and perhaps you would like to build an HR agent as well. You can start with going to the actual document so that you're restricting the source. You can select it here, and if you do have Copilot within your environment, you can just simply click on Create an Agent. And that will, in essence, start and trigger the process to be able to create that agent for you. Generally, you can leave it here. You don't need to give it a name, or you don't need to assign it a specific description or an objective, but you are able to as well. So for example, we might not want to use the name HR Policy Demo Agent. Maybe we want to give it a specific name like we did for Gino. Maybe in this case, we would like to assign it another name. So let's say Ava, the HR agent. And it's not working, which is quite interesting. See, agent. There we go. So we're going to just call this one HR agent. I want it to be a bit more exciting in terms of the name, but that's perfectly fine for now. And now let's save and close. So once we've saved and closed, what will happen in the back end, it will actually start to create that agent for you based on the source that you have assigned to it. And if we refresh this demo site, it will actually show you the agent file right here, but you don't need to interact with it from this file. You can go ahead in the right side panel, it will be available for you to start interacting with. So here we have our HR agent ready to go, ready to be interacted with through SharePoint and the specific source that we've assigned to it. Here I do want it to just run through to show, based on the initial prompt that we've used, that it's able to create an FAQ-based document just simply by creating this agent, which I think is quite exciting and can save us a lot of time for ourselves, but also for our team members. So this is the first demo that we wanted to show, but a lot of us really use Copilot through Microsoft Teams. So of course we know that Copilot is available in most of the Microsoft application tool sets. So let's start with Teams. And Microsoft's Copilot is available through Copilot Chat, and you can also create an agent merely through this user interface. You can either create an agent, or you can go ahead and start to just review which agents has Microsoft provided to you already. So there is a resource set that's able to, have built-in agents ready for you to use. I think this is a good place to start off with, especially if you're just brainstorming, seeing what kind of agents you might be able to build. But let's create an agent through the interface and just go through describe it to design it step by step. So it really is low code, I would say no code. You really just can describe exactly what you want your agent to do. So for this agent, perhaps you want a customer service agent, and we don't want to use the built-in customer insights assistant from Microsoft. Then we can just merely go ahead and start to describe the agent that we want to create. So let's say we want to create a customer service agent that can really guide our team members on our customer service best practices. So let's use that as an example. The agent interface will start to take you through a step-by-step on how to do that. So it will give you a recommended name. And let's say, yes, you know what? We're happy with this name service guide, and we'll go ahead. I do find from a development perspective, giving an agent the name is sometimes the most difficult thing to do, which is very interesting. So now it's asking, let's refine the instructions. Let's focus on how the agent should guide team members. We want it to be accurate and straight to the point. You can, of course, also assign a personality. Maybe you want it to be a little bit warm, informal, perhaps professional, and just straight to the point. You can dictate that as well. For this agent, we do not want to have it have access to any public available websites. We're just going to assign a source that we want this agent to use. So it's saying, you know what, it's been set up, we're ready to go. There's just one step left, which under configuration, we would like to assign it a specific knowledge source. In our case, we are going to use our demo SharePoint site. And there we go, we are ready to start creating our agent. And it really is as easy as that. In terms of user interface, describing it to designing it, those are the step-by-steps. And it's really a matter of minutes before you're able to interact with an agent and go ahead and see what it has to do for you. So here we go. Service guide is ready to go. It has a few suggested prompts as well that we can use. Perhaps we want insight into the best practices when it comes to customer complaints. We can start to interact with it based on the suggested prompts. And that
Awesome.
is how easy it is. Brendan, back to you.
That's great. That definitely did not take 24 months or $500,000. So Diana had a good question. Does every user need a Copilot license to use the agent, or just the user that creates the agent? This is the great part about creating agents. You can deploy a really good AI licensing model where you don't need to have a Copilot license for people. This is part of the reason we did the HR agent, our Geno agent, is because everybody in the company gets access to that through Teams. They don't need to have a Copilot license. We just need a Copilot Studio license to be able to build it. And then you can give your Microsoft 365 Copilot licenses to anybody that you think needs to have it and is working within Microsoft 365 documents, or maybe on your success team that you create to get going. But you can deploy the agents without the licensing cost across the organization. So that's really good. We're going to keep going. I see another couple questions. I'm going to show. There's a question about how to get documents from the agent. We're going to circle back to that. We've got a couple more things we want to go through before we finish off, and then I promise we will stay on and we will answer lots and lots of questions. We had this funny that we sort of had the same thing happen as we did when we did this in our AI summit. We had tons of questions that came out about what can you do with agents, or how can you do that. Maybe we'll circle back if anybody has any other ideas that they're thinking of for an AI agent that they can use. Pop them in the chat or in the Q&A panel, whatever you prefer, and then we'll deal with them in the Q&A part of it. But we want to get a little bit interactive and make sure we're using some examples from you. So if you've got some thoughts, some ideas, you want to share them, that'd be great. So let's go into Selby. Do you want to talk a little bit about our criteria for AI success?
Yes. I think in terms of criteria for AI success, there's in my experience, there's been about 5 foundational elements that I think we should all consider when we start thinking about rolling out agents and having our team members creating agents. The first one really does relate to identifying and being purposeful when it comes to use cases. So if you're thinking about repetitive tasks or perhaps opportunities to implement efficiencies, it's really best to be very purposeful in doing so, because that will allow you to really measure the impact that AI agents will have across your organization and for your team members. So that is where we would like to start when it comes to, criteria for success when rolling out agents. The second item is empowering through curiosity. And I think having a curious team and curious team members will really drive the creation of agents, and even have team members be empowered to create their own agents. A lot of us feel a little bit intimidated when we think about agents because we think it involves a lot of technical insight, a lot of technical experience, but really it doesn't. So really having a culture of curiosity and empowering through curiosity, we believe to be very important. For the third item, configuring with care. Of course, we did mention one of the foundational elements relate to security and compliance, and that is something that should always be in the back of our minds when we are creating agents. Agents do honor the role-based access that your users might have, especially if you're very deliberate in how you're rolling it out. So just always keep that in mind, the security component when it comes to AI in general, but also with agents. For the fourth item, we like to roll out agents in a kind of a testing team capacity to gather and really gain those initial feedback and insights. So that is something that we do recommend. Of course, as we go through agent building, there's a lot of learning opportunities. So do document those, do try and understand those nicely in detail so that you're able to improve going forward. And then, of course, iteration. You're not just limited to the first agent that you've rolled out. You can always improve based on your experience and what you learn. The fifth item is monitoring, optimization, and scaling. So really make sure that you're utilizing the analytics and the reports to be able to see how are your users using those agents so that you know where you need to improve, where you need to optimize, and also how that might be able to inform how you scale.
Awesome. All right, so we got one more thing we're going to go through today, and it's really we do have these webinars and presentations. We get so excited about the content, and then I usually remember, wait a sec, we have to talk about one of the biggest blockers that we see. What stops people from adopting AI, and it's really a reactive approach to IT, and anybody that will listen to us, we will constantly tell them being reactive about your IT is way, way more expensive. This is what generally the IT landscape generally looks like, right? Somebody has a technical problem, it disrupts their work, and it gets solved, and then it repeats itself over and over again across an organization. And so many IT companies and IT departments are just based on fixing problems. Well, the problem when you're just based on fixing problems is it's going to be a blocker for the more strategic things that you want to do with technology. I want to deploy an AI workforce. Well, like I can't do that by putting in a service ticket. I can't do that when my whole IT team is just kind of focused on reactively solving the problem, because then nobody's looking at the security permissions, nobody's doing the review against best practices, nobody's making sure everything's in a good state so that I can implement IT, or I can implement AI, adopt AI, get access to this digital workforce. And here's kind of the root cause of it. Most often, a conventional IT company has a help desk, does project work, and does systems admin. And that's it. Like they do some sort of remote monitoring. They'll improve things like put a new server in or a cloud migration. And the help desk is sort of the center of it all. Somebody needs something fixed. Whoever yells the loudest, they get it done faster type of thing. The problem with this sort of triangle is we stay in reactive IT land. And if we want to get out of reactive IT land and be able to adopt AI, we need to take a different approach. And so we think that there's 6 parts. We have there's really 6 different pieces that need to be in place, and the 3 missing pieces from the usual reactive IT land are a process that we call techification. So what techification is a proactive process that we've developed that's based on over 1,000 best practices, that we go in, we look at an environment, compare it to those 1,000 best practices, whether it's core technology, whether it's cybersecurity, whether it's Microsoft 365 adoption, or whether it's data and AI best practices, and identify areas that are not consistent with those best practices. And then that forms the foundation of a technology strategy, a roadmap, and having folks that can speak to you in business terms and translate technical misalignments into a roadmap, into a strategy, into a budget, so that we know, hey, the goal is we want to implement AI and get to the point where we can be deploying AI agents in a digital labor force. Well, here's the roadmap to get there. Like maybe we have some infrastructure blockers. Maybe we have some data organization or data location type of blockers. And we need to create a roadmap that's going to get us there. And most small and mid-sized businesses do not effectively get that sort of roadmap. And individuals will try, but it's not based on deep technical knowledge of an environment, which has to come from a smart technical technical person diving in and reviewing that organization against best practices. And the other bit, the third bit that's missing for a lot of small and mid-sized businesses is the training bit. If we don't train our people how to use Microsoft 365, if we don't train them how to prompt, how to use AI, we're not going to get them changing how they actually operate, how they work, and they're going to keep working the same way as they always worked. And then we're not going to be able to get the results. And so then as a company, we do those 3 things. And then of course we do the project work, the systems admin, and the help desk stuff as well. And that's how we help companies go from reactive IT to proactive or more strategic IT. So we wanted to offer you, since you've made it to the end, and we appreciate it. Before we go to questions, and we have a few questions that have come in that we're going to answer here. We have an AI agent. This is an interactive agent that we've built for you, and the purpose of this agent is to help you do an AI readiness assessment. So we used to, back in the dark, horrible old days, manually do AI assessments for people. And then we said, hey, we should create an agent that could do this. And so if you go to this QR code, you scan it in, and what it will do is it will ask you a series of questions. It'll probably take you 8 to 10 minutes to do. So if you have time, if you blocked off till noon, maybe you could do it in the next 20 minutes. If not, please find an opportunity to do it. And then if you want our team to discuss the results with you, it's going to give you a kind of rating where you're at, what stage of AI adoption you're at. So it's right away, it's going to give you some advice and some feedback. And the questions it asks too will get you thinking about some of the stuff that you can do and that you can action and move forward. I can come back to that, or we can maybe Hugo can put a link to that in the chat if anybody was having trouble with the QR code. And the other bit, we of course we thrive, we appreciate, we love feedback, and so we would love to get your feedback on this webinar. So as we're asking questions, we just put a poll in there, and we'd love to get your feedback moving forward. If you want to contact either Selby or I directly, please, there are email addresses. Feel free to reach out. A lot of folks have our phone number, and if you want to take that conventional route as well. Okay, so let's get into some of the questions here. So there was, holy cow, there's a lot of questions. Okay. Selby, I think where I wanted to start was there was one that was in the Q&A panel. Can the agent share documents or links to documents? Example, I'm looking for the hybrid work arrangement request form. Can the agent pull the form and share it with me? So you might have seen me typing as Selby was talking. So I was just checking to see if we could do this. And so what I came across with, let me just share my screen. So I just went into Teams, and I opened up our friend Gino, and there's some old chat requests. But if you look down at the bottom here, I said, can you find the work from home form for me? And so Gino came back and said the work from home form is not explicitly mentioned in the provided documents. However, the Techify hybrid work and business expense policies outlines the guidelines for, and then it puts a link to that actual document right there. So to answer your question, the short answer to that question is yes, absolutely. It will find documents for you, so you can have it search and retrieve documents and stuff like that. And finding information is definitely a part of this. So hopefully that's helpful. Okay, we answered Diana's question kind of live. Jason had a question. I tried creating an agent using data from Excel files in SharePoint, and it didn't have the ability to read Excel files. Selby, you want to take this one?
Sure. When we look at kind of the data that can be used by agents, there's a few things to consider. In general, depending on the nature or the structure of your data in Excel, it can either read it or it might struggle. So I'm thinking when you're using Excel, if you're integrating that with an agent, it might be data related or structured data, which it might struggle to interpret and, to be able to assign that you're looking for a specific figure or a specific metric and pull that back. So what I generally recommend is structuring that to and adding a qualitative aspect to it so that you're targeting some of the expected questions that you might ask the agent. But I'm happy to delve into that one a little bit more if you'd like on a one-on-one basis.
Nice. Okay, then next question. Hopefully, Jason, that answers your question. Han had a question. Would you be able to show an example of the type of data you would be able to collect to make decisions or create a better AI agent? Where is that data stored normally in Microsoft? Maybe we could talk to that.
Sure. So when we look at kind of the data and we're able to use usage-related analytics to understand if there's any value of the agent, any interactions, there's usually two places that you can have a look at that information. The first is Copilot Studio. So any agent that we build, really the back end of it and the kind of the area that you can find and really improve the agents is Copilot Studio. And that has a section specifically dedicated to analytics and understanding to a certain degree what questions are being asked. Is the agent really providing appropriate feedback? Is it really targeting and answering the user's questions? The second place that you can really understand the data related to that is in the admin center, or understanding the agent, Copilot, and Copilot chat related interactions that there are. So I would recommend those two areas.
Awesome. Okay, and then let's do one more question. When creating an agent within Copilot, is that data used to improve Microsoft in general, or is it guarded within my organization? This is a really, really good question. Example, I have 12 locations that I'm using data to improve sales. I don't want that information to be available in the greater world from a competitive perspective.
Yes.
Selby, you want to talk through a little bit of data security?
Yes, I'm very passionate about this one. So in terms of Copilot, Microsoft Copilot, Microsoft 365 Copilot, and Copilot agents, there's one important aspect that I think is very important, which is enterprise data protection. So with any interaction that you have with Copilot in general within your organization, or with Copilot agents, if you're building an agent, it is protected by enterprise data protection. And you can generally see it in the top right corner of your Copilot chat. It's a little badge. And it really does show, and it showcases that Microsoft won't use the questions or the answers that the agents gives to train its model. It won't use your business data in any sense outside of your organization, and it really does protect you. So enterprise data protection is enabled, and it won't use the data that you share with the agent or with Copilot in general to train the model, or for it to then have access to the outside world.
Awesome. That's a great question, Claire. And I think that's a good way to end. Good way to finish off. If you didn't get a chance to do the assessment, or if the QR code didn't work for you, what we'll do is we'll email it out as part of our follow-up to this webinar for everybody that attended. Also, feel free, you can reach out to us if you want some help with AI agents, getting your data, getting your security, cybersecurity, all the kind of fun stuff that we talked about today. So hopefully you are leaving this webinar, this experience, feeling smarter and fired up about the opportunity that is out there with the digital workforce and the AI workforce. Selby, thanks for joining me today.
Thanks, Brendan.
This was fun. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Have a wonderful day.